Good morning. I want to thank you all for being here. We certainly have a huge crowd of speakers this morning for this effort. So I hope you all brought your lunch. We may be here a while. Joining me, of course, is Chief Al Morales, District Attorney Chisholm. Is there a representative? I know we had conversations with the mayor's office. He wanted to be here. In fact, we were looking at the possibility of even rescheduling so that he could be in attendance, but that, due to the difficulties and the logistics of trying to line up these people, it just became impossible. Also, State Senator Van Wangard is here. State Representative Crowley, is he here, or he possibly will be joining us shortly as well. President of the Milwaukee Common Council, Ashanti Hamilton. I'm also joined by a number of aldermen, Alderman Borkowski, Perez, Johnson. I know Alderman Stamper said he was coming this morning. And we have also Dodd, Alderwoman Nakia Dodd is with us. We also have representatives from the Sheriff's Office here. In addition, we have Joe Davis, a former colleague of mine on the Milwaukee Common Council, and now he's representing the Department of Transportation. Also, we have some of our funders here. Mike Hupy from Hupy and Abraham. We have representatives from Operation Impact here. And also Rob Pechabowski from the Cone Law Firm. And they've contributed a total of $15,000 towards this effort. We also have Dave Ford from Clear Channel that is here, and Clear Channel is donating 4 digital billboards across the city of Milwaukee for this effort. I think everyone recognizes the fact that Milwaukee is faced with some serious challenges when it comes to speeding, reckless driving, red light running. With that in mind, I am pleased, very pleased, to announce the launching of an effort. Well, that's the phone from the Journal-Sentinel. Wouldn't you know it, they interrupt me. Anyway, very pleased to announce the launching of Take It EZ Milwaukee. This effort, in a nutshell, is a public-private partnership. We have identified 4 intersections in the city of Milwaukee. They are as follows. This intersection, Chavez, Greenfield, and Muskego. We also have 35th and National. We have 60th and Capitol. And we have 27th and Center and Fond du Lac. So those are the 4 intersections that we will be monitoring. This is also a pilot project. We want to see indeed if it's successful. We are going to be running it from the beginning of August through the end of October. One thing that I am most proud of is the buy-in from the private sector. These funders, these 3 funders, and I might add, it only took 2 meetings and 2 phone calls to get that $15,000 donated to this effort. I am absolutely convinced that if we can make a success of this, we will see an even higher level of funding for this effort from the private sector. But I'm also encouraged by the community groups. We've got Steve O'Connell here today from his Northside group that has championed safe driving up in that neck of the woods. And next Saturday at 11 a.m., his community group is going to be marking that intersection, identifying it, and the police will be out. And beginning on the 27th, this coming Saturday, we're going to be launching this effort. So we're announcing it today, and next Saturday will be, and I'm hoping that the mayor, I know he may be interested in joining us at that event as well. So Also want to recognize Clear Channel, and they've given us a list of locations that they have. We're also hoping to partner with other members of the local media to get this word out as much as possible. I want to recognize the Boy Scout group standing behind there, Troop 11, Boy Scouts of America. They're going to be covering the locations. Let's have a big round of applause for them. Again, I say, government can only do so much. We need the help, we need the support, we need all hands on deck to address this issue. And that's precisely what Take It Easy Milwaukee is attempting to do. So with that, it's my pleasure to bring up Chief Al Morales. Chief?
Thank you very much, Alderman Donovan. To combat a problem or to address a problem that's affecting our community, you need three things. You need education, engineering, and enforcement. When the police department has a problem such as reckless driving, we need everyone to come together. You're seeing it right behind me. You're seeing our common council that's here. The mayor could not make it, but he expressed his willingness at conflict of scheduling that he could not make it. You have the community that comes forward through Hupy and Associates. You have Clear Channel. You have Operation Impact. These are all things or areas of resources from the community that are coming forward to address a problem. We are all taking reckless driving seriously, and I can't thank you all enough behind, from the council to everyone here, to help in dealing with a problem that is just affecting our community. I do foresee changes coming. With this type of representation, I can't see how we cannot succeed in this mission. Thank you all very much for having us.
Thank you, Chief. Now I want to bring up District Attorney John Chisholm. And John realizes, as we all do, that the police can only do so much. And what is also critical is strong prosecutors and strong judges to hold people accountable. And I know John recognizes that and believes that. And so it's my pleasure to bring up my good friend, John Chisholm. John.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Well, thank you very much, Alderman Donovan. Thank you, Chief Morales. There is not a week that goes by where you are not covering some tragedy that has occurred as a consequence of reckless driving. And one thing we know for certain is that those tragedies are in fact preventable. They are preventable, and all that's required is that people are conscientious and safe and slow it down and think about the consequences, not just to themselves, but to the general public. And that's why you're seeing this buy-in. So Alderman Donovan has a long history of developing public-private partnerships. Operation Impact's been mentioned. You might call this Operation No Impact, because our goal is to reduce the number of senseless injuries and deaths that are occurring. And it has impacted on this community. We've seen on-duty, off-duty police officers killed. We've seen children killed. We've seen innocents. Just this weekend, you saw someone blown through a red light, and it's resulted in the death of those individuals. So our goal is very simple. Let's get people to start thinking about what they're doing when they're driving. Let's reduce these senseless deaths and injuries and make this a safer and healthier community. So again, thanks to everybody that's here. Thanks for the commitment everybody is making. Working together, we can reduce these tragedies. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Now let me tell you briefly how we got to this point. About a month ago, I was approached by a constituent of mine who was concerned about the reckless driving, and he told me, Bob, you need to implement something that he happened to be involved in years ago down in Racine called Project Easy. He didn't know much about the details other than he told me it was successful. They did a lot of promoting through the media and billboards and on and on. So I asked our Legislative Reference Bureau to reach out and find out a little more about it. That very night, I received a call from State Senator Van Wangard. we were discussing reckless driving. He was returning my call to him earlier in the day regarding reckless driving. And in that meeting, or in that conversation, he brought up Project EZ that was implemented in Racine many years ago. And so I took that as a sign. All right, we've got to do the same thing right here in Milwaukee. And so with that, it's my pleasure to bring up a great partner, a good friend of mine, someone I have gotten to know over the years, who cares deeply about safety across the state of Wisconsin, State Senator Van Wanggaard. Van?
Well, good morning, everybody. Full disclosure, I was a traffic investigator for 26 years of my police career, so I'm going to be a little biased towards traffic issues. This program started back in the late 70s in Racine, the Enforcement Zone Program, the EZ program. And you can't accomplish things unless you have good involvement from the community itself, which we were very fortunate to have had, as Bob has drawn together here in a public-private partnership. By educating people that, you know, they got to stay off their phones, they got to be paying attention. The speeds are just unbelievable. How people treat other people in the vehicle next to them. These are all things that will come out of this program. Now, the Milwaukee Police Department is short officers. I think they're looking at adding more officers. So this is a good way to be able to utilize your officers to keep everybody safe by having them concentrate on areas where you have a high traffic crash rate and you have a lot of violators. When we ran the EZ program in Racine, we took people with warrants off the street, drugs, people that were driving intoxicated, and dealt with the issues of why those accidents were occurring at the intersection. And so we're looking forward to be able to work with Milwaukee PD. I know that this is one of their priorities every day, is to go out and make our roads safe. Well, we need to do that as a concerted effort. I am so pleased to see, like Bob said, so many people out here and saying, hey, we realize this is an issue and we want to fix this. So from the state side of things, we'll look at maybe doing another pilot program or enhancing this program. So this is just the beginning. Bob, if you know Bob, this is a month and he's already got a press conference and this thing's already rolling. We have signs, we got the scouts involved, and we're replicating a good program that hopefully is going to reduce our traffic crashes, our injuries, and our deaths, because we know what a loss it is when somebody is injured or killed as a result of a traffic fatality. So with that, I hope everybody continues to talk this up, the importance of this media. Get this out there, talk it up. If you've got a public service section that you have in your media, utilize a little bit of space there to talk about this program as they identify high traffic crash areas where we have a lot of issues. And I want to thank Bob Donovan for all of his hard work. I mean, he's had me on speed dial for the last month. We've been talking about different issues on how to get this program going, and it's like the energy rabbit. He just keeps on going. So thank you to everybody that's standing here with us and supporting. We've got the aldermen on board with this. We've got the police departments on board with this. Let's make it a safe place, a safer place for everybody to be able to get back and forth to work and live in their community. So again, thank you so much, and Bob, looking forward to working with you on this.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you, man, very, very much. And we're also looking, in case the senator isn't aware, we're looking for money from the state of Wisconsin. So I hope you can help deliver on a little of that as well. Now it's my, is State Representative Crowley here? I just want to say a few words. He has been working very hard with the city of Milwaukee on traffic safety issues, and I do want to acknowledge him and his efforts. I know he wanted to be here, but maybe he was tied up in traffic. You never know. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce a good friend and colleague, the president of the Milwaukee Common Council, Ashanti Hamilton. Ashanti.
All right, can we keep our hands clapping for Bob Donovan, please? And just to try to shorten up the day a little bit, if you didn't mind, I can have all of our colleagues come up with me.
There you go.
And can y'all just kind of crowd around here a little bit? Because we really want to give you the visual that there's no section of the city that's not impacted by reckless driving. It's every section of the city. But being able to focus on 4 of the most prolific intersections in the city, I think that there's a message that can be sent citywide. And this is partly carrot and it's partly stick. One, we really want to encourage people to take on the responsibility of being, and the district attorney mentioned this, being more conscientious about your driving. All right, so there's a way for us to be able to infuse this idea with the help of all of the media outlets, of all of the folks who are going to take on the responsibility of spreading the word, of being conscious of how your driving affects other people in this city. And to be able to have visuals across the city reminding people of that is going to be extremely important. But one of the things that we also want to say is that the enforcement side of this is also an important component of what this is supposed to bring people's attention to. That there are consequences for not abiding by the regular laws and the traffic laws and interfering with the safety of the city. And that there has to be a unified voice saying that there are consequences for that. But we felt that in this city. We felt it from every portion of the city. We felt it from the young people that live in our city, all the way to officers who have felt the impact of reckless driving in the city of Milwaukee. But we have the power together to change that narrative and to change the way that this is impacting residents throughout this city. And so we want to have this unified position, and the simple fact that it's almost every segment of the community that's represented here, the business community, every level of government, the unions across the city, standing together to say that we've had enough. But let's do it in a way that enlists the responsibility of every single resident in the city in order to make it happen. And so if we can do that today here and showing that example, we're hoping that the rest of the city can embrace this effort and make sure that we're taking it easy, Milwaukee.
Take it easy.
I really like the way that this kind of rolls off the tongue, Bob. Let's take it easy, Milwaukee. All right, and let's make the city safer for everybody that lives here. So thanks for the leadership on this, and thanks for the unified force.
Thank you. Did you guys want to say? Oh, okay. And now my friend and colleague, Alderman Jose Perez. Jose.
Thank you all for being here. I wish that I had a better reason to invite you to the 12th District, but as you stand at one of the intersections where 3 major arterial streets come together, because it's an issue, right? The reckless driving is. And just this past May was the 2-year anniversary that a friend of mine, and also happens to be Alderwoman Shantia Lewis's cousin, was killed by reckless driving just on 13th and Greenfield. As he was making a left coming home from work, a reckless driver speeding hit him and ran from the scene. And I don't want that for anyone. So I can't tell you with how much pride that I appreciate Alderman Donovan's leadership, everyone else participating, every level of government he's brought together on the state, police department, DLT, my colleagues, and the community most especially, that we need to take it easy. And we need to hold each other accountable, especially in our families. Parents, you know when your kids are out and they shouldn't be driving or they're not following the rules. We need you to hold them accountable, and we can hold them accountable. Together we can make a difference. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Alderman Cavalier Johnson. Cavalier represents the 60th and Capitol intersection that we are going to be marking next Saturday.
Thank you, Alderman Donovan. Thank you all for being here. There's a lot of praise going on for Alderman Donovan today, and I think that's very just because he's assembled this massive outpouring of support from the political community, from the business community, and from folks who are dealing with the reckless driving scourge in our community on a daily basis. As Alderman Donovan indicated, I do represent 60th and Capitol, and over the weekend not at that intersection, but another intersection nearby in my district, 2 lives were snuffed out because of this same sort of issue. And it's egregious when it happens at intersections like this. It's egregious when it happens at intersections like 60th and Capitol, where Officer Fu Her was killed when he was just on his way home from work. But when you peel back the layers from the commercial districts like this and you go into the neighborhoods, the thing that is frustrating to me and frustrating to so many people is that there are men and women, there are grandparents, men and women, grandparents, dads and moms that are affected by this. They can't let their kids go outside and play because they're afraid of what somebody might do when they get behind the wheel of a 2,000-pound missile. And that's unfair. That's robbing children of their opportunity to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment. And we have to do all that we can to make sure we beat that tide back. That's exactly what this program, I believe, is going to do. So I'm fully on board with it. I wanted to come down as an alderman, again, that represents a high impact district in this city, to show my support for what's happening here and what will be happening over the course of the next several months. I'm looking forward to the partnership with the police department and all others here in order to make this program come to fruition and really crack down on what's had this city terrorized over the course of the past several years. And as the president said, as Alderman Donovan said, encouraging people to just take it easy out there. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Cavalier. Now I'd like to bring up Alderman Russ Stamper. Russ represents the 27th and Center and Fond du Lac intersections.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Well done to my colleague. I want to make sure I say thank you to Bob Donovan for the leadership on this issue, because this is the #1 issue, complaint, concern that the 15th district is experiencing, and I know it's the #1 issue and complaint and concern that the rest of my colleagues are facing. But I want to make it clear, we've been doing our best to try to fight this issue. We have been proactive. We have given thousands and thousands of dollars to Milwaukee Public Schools for youth to learn how to drive and get a driver's license. We've given thousands and thousands of dollars to WCS to help people recover their driver's license and understand the importance of a driver's license. We've instituted a task force to try to come together with some more issues, and we've also supported the police department, or they supported us, in reversing the pursuit policy. So we've been trying to get a hold of all these reckless drivers and get the message out that you need to take it easy and slow down and take your time on these streets. My district particularly has an accident almost every day, particularly on North Avenue, and I've seen many people suffer from loved ones being killed and people getting injured and hurt. So I'm happy to welcome Take It Easy for another tool for us to be able to combat this issue. So thank you to the partners. I know the reason why you guys are coming together, we all are coming together, is because of this being a #1 concern in the city. Safety, reckless driving, and people out here driving dangerously. So thank you to the partners, thank you to the community groups, thank you to my colleagues, and most importantly, the people who are going to be enforcing this is the police department. Thank you, Chief, and the district attorney for this partnership. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Russ. Now I'd like to bring up another colleague, Nakia Dodd. Nakia.
Thank you, Alderman Donovan. I want to just acknowledge that my colleagues have done a tremendous amount of work trying to address the low budget downfalls that we see often when it comes to the city of Milwaukee. And so I think having the partners come together and bringing a community together has really been a great initiative, and I just want to applaud my colleagues for just bringing this to the community and making sure the kids and families are safe. We see it everywhere we go, and it's certainly an issue in my community as well. Capitol Drive off of 76 has seen a lot of speeding going by, and so families are ready for their kids to be safe. And so I just want to applaud my colleagues and the community for coming together and supporting this initiative. So thank you all.
Thank you. You can see how serious this issue is across Milwaukee when you have this many alderpersons together on any issue, both north side and south side, east side and west. Everyone in the community is concerned about this. I also wanted to recognize, I did reach out to Sheriff Lucas, and unfortunately he was unable to be here. He's out of town and won't be returning until tomorrow, but did send some representatives, and he is very much on board with this effort as well. Now I'd like to bring up a good friend, a good colleague. We worked together for many years on the Common Council. Now he's representing the Department of Transportation. Alderman, former Alderman, Joe Davis. Joe.
Good morning. I'm here to represent Superintendent Tony Burrell from the Wisconsin State Patrol, and with me is Lieutenant Ann Maxon from the Southeast Post, the Waukesha Post from the State Patrol. I do agree with Chief Morales when he says there's 3 E's, but remember, there's one more E that we have to make sure we take into consideration, and it is everyone has a stake in to make sure that the city of Milwaukee streets are safe. So Chief Morales, thank you for your work in the task force, which I'll be talking about pretty soon. On behalf of the Wisconsin DOT, our Division of State Patrol, and the Bureau of Transportation Safety, we're happy to partner with the city and the county, Milwaukee's effort to reduce crashes and save lives. We're very pleased to stand side by side with local officials like Alderman Donovan. I'm very pleased to actually see State Senator Van Wangard here, because sometimes we think that folks don't care, but they do. And then law enforcement, neighborhood groups, and citizens. Steve O'Connell, you are my brother, and thank you for continuing not to give up, okay? To do all we can to make the roadways and communities as safe as possible. This is the 2nd year of the Reckless Driving Reduction Initiative, RDRI, which is the brainchild of Superintendent Burrell. That RDRI is a joint effort and a task force between the Wisconsin State Patrol, the Milwaukee Police Department, and the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Office, in addition to the to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Police Department. Those 4 agencies actually have jurisdiction to actually enforce traffic laws here in the city of Milwaukee. The partnership is specific downtown areas where there are known challenges with dangerous driving behavior, but now the data shows us that we shouldn't be focused most downtown, but we really should be focusing on predictive analytics. And predictive analytics talks about where the crashes will occur. Throughout the summer months, officers with the Milwaukee Police Department bonded by a common interest in public safety with those other agencies I previously talked about. And this is not about simply stopping and citing motorists. Let me say that again. This is not about stopping and citing motorists. It's really about contacts. It's really about trying to find out what those contributing circumstances are to try to understand what this phenomenon is here in the city of Milwaukee. The primary goal to change and improve driving behavior through the public education and targeted enforcement. Now, the bus tail adds that we have a partnership with the Milwaukee County Transit System. Matt, I want to thank you and CJ from Vector Advertising for actually getting the word out. These are 10 buses that you see throughout the Milwaukee County that actually has not only in English but in Spanish, specifically in a partnership with Alderman Donovan to say, you know what, we're joined hand in hand in this effort to reduce crashes and fatalities here. It is estimated that these bilingual bus wrap messages will be viewed by over 3.5 million people. That's millions of people that we hope to give serious thought to our example of message. Please slow down, set aside the cell phone, be patient, alert, responsible, behind the wheel. People's lives depend on it. And once again, I want to thank Alderman Donovan, city and county officials, Milwaukee County Metro, and all the entire law enforcement agencies who are involved in it. DOT has a stake in this. We give out specifically about $3.5 million in grants in the southern region, which I'm the regional program manager for the Bureau of Transportation Safety. But for this task force that I just mentioned, it is almost a little under $400,000 that we give for law enforcement for overtime. Now that's important as far as overtime is concerned, because it allows those commanders, the chief, the sheriff, and the superintendent to use the existing resources that they have to extend their stay for 4 more hours out on the street to enforce traffic laws. So once again, I'm proud to actually stand here with my colleague, or my former colleague. He called me Alderman Davis, I guess once an alderman, always an alderman.
That's right.
But you know, this guy right here, I call him my little brother. And the interesting thing about what we have in common is a passion for our community. A passion for our community. Because when we see these young people who are ended up crashing, and the law enforcement officers have to understand that there is something going on when they see that carnage in that traffic crash. That's somebody's life. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's daughter, or that's somebody's parent. So on behalf of the Bureau of Transportation Safety, State Patrol, Superintendent Tony Burrell, and the DOT, we want to applaud Alderman Donovan for his doggedness to make sure that this effort continues to stay at the forefront of the public.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. I do, before we finish, I do want to recognize, and I want a big round of applause for our 3 private sector funders, and I'd like them to raise their hands when I mention them. I am so pleased that they have stepped up to the plate and care enough about Milwaukee to continue doing positive things. First of all, I want to recognize Michael Hupy from Hupy and Abraham. Let's give him a big round of applause. Second of all, I'd like to thank Operation Impact. Operation Impact has done a great job in raising funds through the private sector to help improve safety on Milwaukee's South Side. So let's give them a big round of applause. And finally, Rob Pechabowski from the Cone Law Firm. All it took was one phone call to Rob, and he was there helping. They have done a great job in partnering with the city for many, many, many years on a variety of issues. And we are so grateful. Rob, raise your hand there. Yeah, thank you. And also Clear Channel. And where's Dave? Dave, raise your hand. There he is. Clear Channel has donated 4 digital billboards across Milwaukee for this effort. And we intend on reaching out to many more across Milwaukee. As many of the speakers said, this is an all-hands-on-deck effort, and we need more and more people to step up to the plate. So with that, unless I skipped anyone, and I hope to God I haven't, we'll take any questions.
Alderman, can you give us an idea how many officers will be employed in this effort and whether they'll be with special operations?
Yes, I'll give you all the specifics. There'll be enough officers deployed. Next question. You'd have to talk to the chief, yeah.
Chief Morales, what do you hope this survey shows the citizens of Milwaukee, especially at those 4 intersections? Come on over to the podium.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
What do you hope this survey shows the people of Milwaukee, especially at these 4 intersections?
Well, I'll mention it like this. We have had great progress with enforcement, but the numbers are way too high, and I'm going to share some numbers with you. Fatal accidents in 2017 for the year to date were 42. In 2018, when we started our initiative, reckless driving initiative, went down to 31, and we're at 23 year to date this year. Pedestrians hit 15 in 2017, 2018 9, 2019 3. Serious injury 43 in 2017, 25 in 2018, and 28 in 2019, serious injury. None of those numbers are acceptable. Just as you hear me often talk about the violent crime, not one incident is excusable. So with the community help, we expect those numbers to continue to drop back to the times when this was an issue that not many people paid attention to. It's a big enough issue where the community, our political officials, our community, and law enforcement are getting together to address it. So I hope that helps you. The monitoring is going to be, there is some money to pay for law enforcement to be out in these areas. We're going to continue with the reckless driving initiative in those intersections. So you're going to see more presence in that area, more enforcement. But what we're missing the point today is the messaging. The messaging and the public sector that's getting involved in helping us push that message out there. Thank you.
Well, I think it's about getting everybody to understand the importance of what the problem is out there, and that it's in the forefront. What we do, when we identify an intersection that's got a lot of traffic crashes or is a traffic issue, you highlight the lead up to that intersection by wrapping the poles with pole wrappers or putting out signs so people can see that they're coming into an area that's a dangerous area. Pay attention. By getting people to be thinking about their driving and what they're doing. Remember, every time you put your key in the ignition of your motor vehicle, you have the ability to exercise the power of life and death over everybody you pass. And this is something I think people lose, that whole picture that driving a vehicle is really serious. And now you add speed. Vehicles travel at 44 feet per second at 30 miles per hour. At 60, it's 88 feet per second. So with a 2.5 second response time, you've already traveled 150 feet. So we have to be thinking about these things. We have to be thinking about the importance, and then you got to stop. So this is what this is going to be designed to do. We did this in '78. It was a National Highway Traffic Safety Grant that we administered. I was involved in that original one. Then we brought it back again in the early 90s because we had the same problem developing again. And Bob has gone a stretch farther and gotten more public involvement in this because we have so much more media potential. So that's why I asked our media here, you know, this isn't just a story for tonight, please. This is a story that needs to continue. Our officers on the street are responding to calls for service they shouldn't have to be responding to. So if everybody kind of picks up and does a little bit here, I can't believe the amount of interaction that's right here standing on this corner, because this is important to all of us. If we're not safe in our community, like one of the aldermen said, you have to stuff your kids in the house because you're afraid to let them go out on the sidewalk and play. My God, what is that coming to? So that's the importance I see with this. And Clear Channel, thank you. I see those billboards all the time, and that is going to be absolutely awesome because we can change it up. So that is awesome. Another hand for Clear Channel. Thank you. Did that answer your question?
And finally, let's have a big round of applause for Troop 11, the Milwaukee, or the Boy Scouts of America. Hey, pull up those signs, guys. They're going to be marking the south side intersections a block or two out with these signs. We're going to be marking light poles and trees so people know they're entering an easy zone. And let's have a big round of applause for Steve O'Connell and his group, which is coordinating the north side markings. We'll get these lawn signs out. God bless all of you. I appreciate it. Oh, and I want to thank the Meehan family for being our host here. They have done a great job, and they've got water and soda, I think, for everyone. Great operator at this intersection. And with that, I will leave you with this. Take it easy, Milwaukee. God bless you. Thanks.